Hey everyone, it's Tyler the Rustic Nerd Dad here, and today is the day I'm finally doing a more in-depth video about all the modifications I've done to my Wolverine suit from Deadpool and Wolverine. This suit was originally from Simcosplay, and I've done quite a bit to it. Some of you may have already seen some of the pictures or videos, or even seen some of the processes I was already taking. Um, but this is going to be a more overall encompassing video going over all the freaking detail and work that I did to this. At the end of the day, it may not seem like when I'm all said and done, it may not seem like a lot, but I did have a lot of trial error and error in my processes. So it definitely seemed like a lot to me, but I know going forward, if I were to do it again, or I should say when I do it again with a more screen accurate suit, um, things will be a lot easier. But let's get right to it. So, like I said, this is from Simcosplay originally. This is their more of like their top tier suit. I'll have a link in the description of the one I got. But I will say, and as many people know, the suit, the one that we got, a lot of the original people got, the blue was a lot darker, which even in this lighting, from this angle, it still looks quite dark. But as many of you seen in my pictures and other videos, I lightened it up quite a bit. So since since that is a but I'm sorry, before I get into that, the Simcosplay has updated that. So they do actually have one that has a brighter blue. So if you're new to this or you haven't ordered your suit yet, I highly recommend getting that updated version so you don't have to do the extra legwork. Um, but yeah, so if you have an older version of the suit and you want to update the bluing on the navy part of the fabric, you're going to want to pick up this tulip color shot. It's a matte blue. I will put the links for all this in either the description or the comment section, depending on where this video is posted. Um, but I've used about a can and a half um, between the gloves and the suit. Honestly, now that I've worn it, I've taken pictures, I probably would have used the two full cans, to be honest. However, I'm going to be modifying this suit probably even further and changing it to something else. So I won't be using the rest of this. I'll probably save it for another project, but I'll get into that later. But yeah, tulip color shot, matte blue, highly recommended. And don't spray it directly onto the suit. Um, wear some gloves, spray it into a plastic cup, and then apply using a paintbrush. But try to avoid using a foam brush; those break apart, and then it just creates more of a mess. But that way, you can use various types, sizes, and types of brushes to get into the finer details. Also, while you're doing that, keep I already moved it. Keep some rubbing alcohol, isopropyl rubbing alcohol on hand. So if you do happen to get it on the yellow, you've got keep some Q-tips handy. You can just easily wipe the excess blue away. Um, that way it doesn't stain the suit. Even if it does sit there for a while, which I actually had on a butt spot, which some of you may have seen in my more recent pictures. Um, I was able to get almost 95% of it off with the alcohol, even though it'd been probably sitting there for like a few weeks. So definitely handy to keep on hand. The belt that came with it, I completely replaced. Uh, I ended up going to AliExpress and buying a whole new belt. And that's for a couple reasons. Unfortunately, I don't have the old belt anymore. I've since sold it. But the closure for it was just a single clasp closure. Trying to see. I do have another one. So I've got a belt in process of being painted. So um, ignore how ugly it looks at the moment. Basically, it has two Velcro points on the back. Well, actually more than two, but so it's got inner ones for hitting the back of the suit because there's Velcro on the like lower back of the suit, but also this back part, which is more accurate anyway, allows for more custom sizing and custom fitment since it has those 2 points, not just a single one. So you can get a good like inch on either side, you know. So that's an extra, 2 inches almost, or pretty much, to expand the belt. And this is based off of the large size on AliExpress. And I got a couple belts. I got 2 belts and the replacement knee pads for, I think it was like 60 or 70 bucks with shipping included. So that's not too bad at all, in my opinion. Because as some of you have seen and know, I did replace the knee pads. I'll be including, pictures here and there, so I don't have to adjust my camera. But I did have to replace the knee pads because the Sim/Pro cosplay suit comes with these plastic ones, which aren't awful. Like, I think if they were just standalone, um, they wouldn't be too bad. I mean, that being said, I'm actually using them for the customization I'm going to be doing to the suit, or sorry, my other suit I'm working on, the other custom Wolverine suit I've got in process. I'll be using these for that, and I'll completely repaint them. But to get a little bit more accurate, I replaced them with more of a fabric one that actually had like the rivets in there. And like I said, I can have a picture like right here. Um, let's see. I actually left the shoulder belt, like the shoulder armor, exactly how it was. Um, you know, it was one of those things that, for at least my suit, it worked out that the detailing was good enough. I had enough that I was already seeing that I was going to play with and mess with. Um, that I was just like, I'm not going to mess with that. That looks fine. Uh, all the rivets on the suit came black, and I repainted those silver with um, this Uni Posca acrylic marker. Um, and I also used it for um, some of the bullet fragment areas on the damaged part of the suit, and the metallic weathering on the belt, which you may or may not be able to see in the video. So for the general weathering, I primarily used matte black apple barrel acrylic paint mixed with water. So basically, I watered it down, like very, very watery mix, and then I would brush it onto the suit and let it sit for a couple seconds, and then I would like dab and like lightly wipe away using paper towel. But in doing so, I had a lot of reference images up when I was doing this, so I knew exactly where specific levels of weathering and detail were. And at the end of this video, I will include a bunch of the reference images I used for my overall process. For the bullet wounds and the stab wounds, I used a baby powder and super glue gel mix. So it was about 50-50 mix. You put the super glue gel onto a piece of paper, or I used a small piece of foam, mixed the baby powder and super glue together. I like the gel because I think you get a little bit more time out of it, and it's a little bit more easy to manipulate. But that's what I used for the damaged areas to give it more of a raised and blown out look on the suit. So that way it wasn't just strictly a paint job. I wanted to give it more dimension and depth on the suit. But before I even laid that down, I took a red pen and I'll include a picture here so you can kind of get an idea of what I did. But I put a general outline down, and then I put the glue around that outline, and then kind of like um, hand drew it using a toothpick with the baby powder and glue mix. And then after that, then I did an acrylic black acrylic base, and I also used, not sure where it is right now. Is that it? I used a black Uni Posca acrylic marker for that as well. Just in a base coverage of the center areas. Um, and then after I got the primary base down, I did a watered down black acrylic to kind of spread it out, like give it more of the blowout look a bit. Then I did some extra detailing, used the painter's medium yellow. And then I also did, like I said, the silver, just a little bit of highlight work. Um, Now for the stab wounds, I did not use the silver for that because there wouldn't be any like bullet fragments. Um, so I just did that. Left that. One benefit of doing the red pen underneath is, and I'll try to include a picture if I have one, or I can take one again. Is it actually gives the illusion of like a little bit of dry blood on the suit. Um, after that little fight. Um, so that's and I did that on the knees. Excuse me, I did weathering on the knees. I did weathering over the whole suit. Um, for the shoulder pieces, the shoulder tiger stripes, it was quite a dark navy. So originally I had just covered with the Angelus navy blue, which lightened it up a little bit. Rocket, get over there. But it wasn't quite enough. So then I had used the Tulip Color Shot spray for and covered it a bit. And then that got too bright. So I was like, frig. And it's like, I need a middle ground. So I actually had just the regular Angelus blue on hand. So what I ended up doing is mixing a little bit of that with the navy. And, I ended up eyeballing. I didn't really measure it. But the two of those together made like the perfect bluing for the shoulder. So it wasn't too dark, it wasn't too bright. Um, so that really worked out. Uh, for the abdominal section, as many of you know, there's kind of like a lack of, it doesn't really stand out. Plus, there's just like this weird line down the center. So to get that to really pop, um, I ended up removing. So on the inside of the suit, and again, I'll include some pictures here. I ended up cutting open the back side of the vest, and in the between the foam area, there's basically glued sections that are um, missing foam to create that indentation. But yeah, so what I did is I cut out like little thin, and again, I'll have a picture sitting here. I cut out little pieces of very, very thin foam, and I basically filled that gap. And after I filled those gaps, um, by gluing them to the back of this, I then used a towel, a dry towel, and I did on um, cotton on an iron, like a clothing iron. I did it on the cotton setting, and I just kind of pressed and went back and forth. Did it about 5 or 6 times, like did 5 or 6 passes to help try to flatten that out. Then I did a very, very light mixture of the matte black acrylic paint and this territorial beige. to get a little bit of a browny gray, very, very light. And then I accented the abdominal section to make it a little bit more screen accurate, just to kind of make it pop. As you can see, the hand section of the suit has been lopped off. That's not necessarily something that everybody would have to do. I mainly did that because of the gauntlet files I ended up using, and I didn't have time to print a whole new set. But I ended up going with DO3D or Do3D files. But the interesting thing about the gauntlet files is they're not exactly the easiest to scale. At least it wasn't for me. I do, as you can see, I have pretty small forearms. So I had to scale these down. Plus, they're quite long, too long. And I was trying to scale it based off of like what my arm would look like compared to Hugh Jackman's. So I made these like snug. So basically, what happened was with my glove being tucked in and that extra little bit of fabric, it wasn't fitting. It was like consistently pushing this section out, and it just like in like bad. It was sitting out quite a bit, and I just wasn't having it. So I cut those off, and it made a big difference. Something else I also did is, as many of you know, the Do 3D file comes with magnets that go around, which I did, as you can see, but it's like, why isn't that coming out all the way? Well, what I also did is I glued elastic strapping on the inside to keep this as snug as possible, because like I said, it was already pretty tight fitting as is. And as you can see, like, this is how tight I have this thing and how close to my arm measurement I have it. Like, it takes me a good second to get in there, but you know, it looks pretty darn good. It's scaled appropriately. However, if you were to bend your wrist down, it would push on the magnets and then it would just pop out. Now, these are printed in resin, so it is heavier than like what an FDM print could be or would be. So that could be part of the reason. But having that elastic there kept everything snug, especially once the glove was adding some extra pressure. For painting the gauntlets, basically, I just grabbed the close blue to the suit, spray painted this section blue, a lighter, like it was a lighter blue, and then I did a satin black. And then after those two are done, I clear coated. After I clear coated, I did the yellow, and I actually did that with that same acrylic marker, as well as some Angelus leather paint in yellow right here. And this is Tour Yellow. But it ended up doing quite well. And then what I also ended up doing to get it darker, I ended up taking that navy blue Angelus and doing a rub down, which worked really well because it gave it like a really good like layered look, especially going from a light to dark blue. And then of course I used the silver acrylic to accent the gauntlets to make them look even more weathered and battle damaged. So that's the gauntlet part. And as you can see, I'm going to be finagling with these to get them off. Because like I said, I made these ridiculously snug, but you know, when they're on and they look good. They look appropriate. I will be printing a new set as a test from Yosh Studios. They appear to have a more accurate separation of the gauntlet from the film, so I'm curious to work on that and get that situated just to see how it looks. Because like I said, the next suit or the next screen accurate suit I work on is going to be extremely like it's going to have the screen printing whole 9 yards. So I'm going to want the accessories to be as screen accurate as possible as well. So let's talk about the gloves. This one was actually kind of fun to play with. So the gloves originally came with like a pleather black hand topper, and they didn't look bad. Like they came with like metal claw ports as well that looked reasonably good. Um, but again, just like the base suit, I had to do some color correction. So Tulip Color Shot Spray on the fabric area to brighten that up. Then the glove area, the pleather glove area, what I ended up doing was using the Angelus Navy Blue, take it from black to blue. And then the hand topper is a urethane rubber cast that I did. And as you can see, it's got magnets there to hold claw ports in place. So basically, and I still have like a little bit of adjustments here and there, but basically looks like that. I'll be doing a version 2 of these eventually, but it's not high on my priority list. But, you know, these are the claw ports are resin 3D printed. And then what I did was, these are snug, like everything I have is snug, like, but what I did was I drilled out, see if I can show it to you there. I drilled out so that it can fit over the top of the claw. That way, you know, they don't have to have the claw ports on them all the time. Plus, the magnets help line up on the glove topper. Let's say I didn't want to have the claws on. Oh. Let's say I didn't want to have the claws on and I just wanted the claw ports. Oop. And that was like, so as you can see, they still can come off, but I was like shaking my hand to like really whip it off. If you're just walking around, it'd be all right. I can move my hands and they stay on reasonably good. These are very, very strong rare earth magnets. Yes, if you knocked your hand into something, they could come off. Technically, I could glue these in place, and I probably will eventually, but I'm still doing a lot of prototyping, so I still, you know, like to be able to have them removable at the moment. But it's just a nice feature, especially if I do end up making another set of claws or whatever. Just, you know, interchangeable options. But yeah, so that's the hand topper and claw ports. I'm gonna have to glue that back down. Another thing I was playing with was the Balaclava, and I'll include pictures here. The Balaclava, this is dyed, and this is actually my original one. I have since dyed and weathered it. No longer matches the yellow because I was experimenting with a couple things. But so to have the, you know, closure from the neck to the mask, at the moment, this is the primary Wolverine mask I have, which is the Yosh Studios version 1. I'm currently working with Jordan's Ironic Armory on an updated mask to go with my more screen accurate version. But this is printed in resin, has the magnets on the jaw. But again, something else I also did was elastic strapping to the inside. I also added some fabric for comfort on the forehead. But that way, I can actually do something like this and I can talk. But basically, I can just put it right on and it sits reasonably well. I can talk. My jaw can hit this bottom part all day long and that jaw is not going to come flying off. Even with strong magnets, like it's on there and it's still easy, like with the elastic strapping, lift up and off. Displays well too. But yeah, the version 1, their version 2 looks pretty good as well. But yeah, that's what I currently have on hand for my primary mask for the Deadpool Wolverine suit. Trying to think if I'm missing anything. Oh, I did. So, as many of you do know, or may not know, this suit is very, very snug and it doesn't have a ton of give to it. I was actually very surprised. I was able to run in mine and I was able to do a lot of action things. But the one thing that didn't quite work out is when I did a jump and swing, it got too tight and I ended up popping the zipper basically right out of the stitching. And it sucked because I did that like right before the movie's release. So I had to come across a fix because I was not going to go sleeveless. Now, where the heck did I put that thing? All right, sorry about that. So to do a temporary fix on this, I used one of those tagging guns that are tagging apparatuses that are popular on TikTok and other social media platforms at the moment. But basically, it's just a tagging apparatus that you would see in like some retail environments or a lot of retail environments. But it's got black, tiny black tags that you can use, and I was able to put at least temporarily get the zipper and the seam of the suit together. So that was very, very beneficial to have, and I'm glad I have this. And if and when I eventually go to a convention, I'll definitely be taking one of these with me because it is a lifesaver. I also even used it on the knees because the knees are still actually being held on by these, which is pretty cool. The boots, I ended up just doing natural dirt weathering. Um, Nothing too crazy special there. I'm not going to turn the mannequin around. I'll include some pictures of that here. Nothing too special there, but I'm pretty sure that covers most of the, if not all the bases for everything I've done, or that I've worked with, leading up to the release of the film. And like I said, I will be using a lot of these techniques and uh, prototyping into the more screen accurate version. Um, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. And like I said, I'm going to very, very soon be completely redoing this entire suit as a custom build and using what I've done as a base. Or I should say I might be. I've got to do a couple tests on some things before I go full full for it, but yeah, looking forward to seeing what I can do, uh, because there's no point of full on retiring this or selling it at this point. I've got a lot of passion into this, and I'd like to see what else I can do and experiment with these suits. So again, if I missed anything or forgot anything, or you want a more detailed description or information on anything, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I will get to you as soon as I can. So again, stay after me talking because I'll put up all the reference images I used. Anyways, thanks for watching and good luck with your build.